joined by Tareq al Hamouri, who is a former Jordanian Minister of Industry, Trade and Supply. Mr. Minister, thank you so much indeed for joining us. I mean, look, we'll come on to the economics of this in a moment, but can you tell us about the politics, first of all? How does Jordan regard the Syrian regime?
Thank you very much. We've actually opened our borders in October 2018. And we've had to put restrictions on our borders on movement as of April 2020, simply because of COVID. We've had a lot of concern about people coming in with COVID and testing abilities. So we've had restrictions on the borders, but they haven't shut. They were only restrictions. We further intensified the restrictions as we went along to make sure that we maintain our good health status in Jordan to deal with the epidemic. In July of 2021, it seems that the security situation in the south of Syria became of concern, so we imposed further restrictions. Things seem to have settled down today. So today we removed a lot of the restrictions imposed on movement between Jordan and Syria. However, the borders have not been shut per se since October 2018. There were various restrictions. However, there was movement, restricted though, because of various concerns, starting with health concerns and then to security concerns in July 2021.
I just wanted to get back to that issue about the politics of it. How does the government balance in Amman the politics with the economics of this? Because clearly COVID has affected almost every single country economically, but you have the politics of what's happening inside Syria,
of course,
and the regime's actions against its own people. I mean, is it just impractical for Jordan as the neighbor of Syria to actually try to separate those two issues, or is it a necessity that it has to separate those two issues?
Well, Jordan's stance on all Arabian issues has always been stable. Jordan has always been concerned with the stability, safety of the people of Syria. And moving from that, we've always tried to maintain good relations with our neighbors. In March 2020, I led the first delegation, then I was in government. I led the first official delegation since 2011 to Syria, and we had a very fruitful discussion of the bilateral relation, mainly in I think 5 files, and we had an agreement for the Syrian ministers to come to Jordan. That was not possible due to the pandemic that was spread then, and you can see in news that this did happen eventually. So we started this in 2020, and we are seeing the fruits of it. We are not, I think, part of internal politics in any country. We are concerned about the safety of the people surrounding us. We've suffered quite a bit from the situation in Syria. We've received about 20% of our population and refugees. And we've paid our fair share. We've accommodated Syrian refugees, provided them with education, water, and health within our means, within our abilities. So we've been trying to be the best neighbors we can to all surrounding countries, trying to avoid getting involved in internal politics, and hoping the best for our neighbors, and trying to look after the refugees we receive in tough circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, the way the international media is presenting the reopening of this border crossing is very much an economic decision because of Jordan's necessities of getting more trade flowing. How badly has the coronavirus pandemic hit Jordan, and how much can the opening of one border crossing make a difference to your country?
Well, anything does help, and Syria is a neighboring country. We share the same borders, and it's only expected. If you look at trade in any country in the world, the first destination for trade are neighboring countries. So this is one of the things you look at. Every little helps. We've been hit with COVID economically, And as per the charts that have been published by the World Health Organization and various United Nations organizations, I think we've been one of the better performers in terms of dealing with COVID. This does not mean we haven't suffered, whether in lives of Jordanians that are highly valued to us. But compared to other countries, I think we were one of the better performers. However, this did have an economic impact in Jordan, on Jordan. And we suffered, like most countries in the world, of COVID economically. And we've been trying to recover. I think if you look at numbers, we are starting to see a bit of recovery. Still, we're looking at all corners that can help in bilateral trade, and all other pillars of our economy, including tourism, ICT services, other services. But this does add a bit to helping Jordan. I think improving trade with our neighbors is something we cannot ignore.
Tareq al Hamouri, we really appreciate your time, as I said before we began this interview. Thanks so much for talking to us on TRT World's The News Hour.